Wait, we had a good practice. It was second day in pads. We had a live period of third down. Defense did a couple of really, really good things in terms of getting some good stops. I think the offense had some good execution too. So, 12 plays. It was almost 50-50. I think the offense won with 7 wins and the defense won 5 of them. So we had 12 snaps of that and good competitive period. The guys are really grinding and through the installs and things that we're doing. There's guys that are stepping up and making plays. I feel really good with where we're at, on both sides of the ball. I think our offensive line as a unit's getting really better, and the continuity is growing. Is getting, you're seeing a level of consistency there. I think defensively they're starting to. Our pass rush is really improving from what it was a year ago. We have a few other guys that are kind of part of that rush deal, but Justin Jackson has been a guy that's been flashing, since we started spring practice, really getting in the backfield and creating a lot of, pressure on the quarterback. There was a couple interceptions today, one in 7 on and one in the last team period that the defense got. So they're getting some turnovers. So those are the things that we're emphasizing for. This spring, we didn't, the one thing we didn't do on defense that I think was a point of emphasis, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but one of them was creating more turnovers. We didn't have a lot last year, and we didn't give up a lot last year, but that's something that we want our defense to be better at, is generating more turnovers and getting more pressure on the quarterback. So those are 2 high priorities for us this spring, and I think we're making good progress there.
In terms of that pass rush,
yeah.
Thomas had a really good start to the season last year, then he was injured. Where is he this spring? Is he back healthy?
He's back healthy. He's doing some good things in practice, and he's again part of that defensive front that's really generating some pressure. So he's doing some really, really good things. So our goal is to try to keep him through these next 15 practices or whatever we have left to continue to make great progress with his development, and Jamar's doing the same thing, and Devin Grant, those guys on the edges are really doing some really, really good things that we really didn't see as much last year. So I feel like we're making great progress with our pass rush, and we're going to continue to improve and get better there.
Where does Chance Main fit into that? Is he playing defensive end, like outside linebacker?
He's an edge player. I usually, to make it easy for you guys, an edge player is that he's an outside rusher. So, whether we're in a 4-down or 3-down scheme, he's in the same alignment. So, but he would be a guy that could add to our depth and add value for us too. So, we're just going to move forward with the guys we have, and and I think he's a good part of that equation, and we'll see how that goes as we move forward.
We've talked to you a lot already about Brendan and JT, but how have Maddox Kopp and Drew Carter fit into the equation this spring? And in terms of volume of just snaps, how have those guys factored in?
They're both competing pretty well, Justin. They're getting I think equal reps in terms of our sets of things of those guys competing against each other, and I think Maddox is doing a really good job. He's I know for a guy that just got here in January, and he's been able to function fairly decently with his command and presence in the pot as a quarterback for the offense, and he's made a few plays. So I think he is gaining confidence as we go, and I think the same thing for Drew. Drew is a young player that we had as our backup last year, but didn't play very much. In my mind, he's still a young player that still needs a lot of reps, but you can see the improvement that he's made, from our football school that he's translated to the field. So both those guys are being very competitive. They're both trading off reps, and it's pretty competitive, because the way I like to do it, and Mike does it as well, if guys make poor mistakes, poor decisions, they get thrown out of there, and someone else takes the helm, and that's a humbling experience when it's your reps, but you just gave them up because I made a poor decision. So it's a good thing that it keeps those guys competitive and trying to stay sharp.
You were able to redshirt all of the defensive linemen you signed in your first class here. Have any of those guys made that next jump since last year in redshirting?
Well, Tyus, he's still not full speed for us yet, so he hasn't gotten any full practice. He's in limited practice mode right now. So it's hard to really put him in that equation. But Ryan Williams has been getting a lot of reps. and he looks good. He looks like he's more confident, just from where he was a year ago to where he is now. So, his presence is being felt a little bit in there. Same thing with Alan Baugh. They're both playing two uniquely different positions, but both of them are going to be quality depth players for us until they get old enough to really try to ascend and do more. But I think that's one of the other bigger issues too that we had a year ago that I think is kind of with those guys redshirting and coming back this year. We think the depth of our D line is going to be a lot more similar to the first unit, so it's not going to be such a drop off in talent. So those young players are young, but they're making good strides.
Looking at the defense, still Quinn Perry in the middle. Not a new guy, but maybe overshadowed by Nate and some of the other guys last year. Is he someone that you're maybe going to be leaning upon for not just more production, but leadership on that side?
On both of those, that's a good point. Quinn is acting like a really good leader. He's had a great off season, training. Even prior to football, showing leadership and in that regard, and on the field he does the same thing. So he's had a good teacher. With playing behind Nate for a couple of years and seeing how he operates. I think he's not trying to be Nate, but in his own way, he's trying to show great leadership and great play and consistency too. So he is taking ownership of that. So I'm glad about that. Now is he a veteran, well-seasoned player? He still has his things that he needs to continue to work on, but he is definitely moving in that direction.
Since this is the last time that we'll see you before Saturday's scrimmage, just what are your expectations heading into that scrimmage, and what in your mind will constitute a successful scrimmage when all is said and done Saturday?
Really, to see the points of improvement, the list of things that we've talked about on both sides of the ball. I'd like to see, we talked about defensively, I want to see some good pass rush. I want to see, the quarterback under pressure. Even though the quarterback's not live, I want to see those guys in the backfield and creating some havoc. And I'd like to see some plays on the football in the back end, with creating some turnovers and making some plays from that thing. So for my mind, I would like to, to see those two things really start to show up for us, because those are glaring things that didn't show up a year ago. I think offensively, the balance is really important. They're doing a really good job of creating that balance right now. We're running the ball effectively. They're throwing the ball and play actioning pretty well. I want to see how we can if we can get in a groove, of consistency and sustain some drives and see how that body of work goes through the course of the scrimmage, regardless of who the quarterback is. So, those are the things right now. And then the other part is I want to see these guys play. I want the coaches off the field and just put them out there and play the game of football and see if they can make smart decisions when it's called to do something, that's going to make a play for the offense or the defense. I want to see how much we've learned and how much we've grown, from that aspect last year. So, those are the things that I'm looking for. Nothing really big, but I think those things are the big things that kind of stick out in my mind.
We talked to a lot of the offensive coaches yesterday and sensed a lot of excitement over working together. And I think Clay was talking to us about how much he's enjoyed, just bringing in a lot of different ideas. I'm just curious, for you being a longtime offensive coach, have you enjoyed that aspect, bringing in different minds to that room?
I have enjoyed it. I'm relieved to know and feel good about the level of experience in that room right now. With Mike Sanford's experience and Clay's experience and Phil McGagan's experience, Hagan, all those guys have been coaching for quite some time, and they've done a great job of really melding all the ideas into our system. And they're good listeners. I think that's another thing that's really important. But they all have input in what we're doing, and that's what makes it such a great investment on their side, and that they're enjoying it, is that they actually feel like they have some skin in the game. They have some thoughts that are being instituted, and so they're really doing a great job of really putting those things together.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.